Conditions haven't been great. I actually came out here, the forecast had called for a chance of rain. Originally it was supposed to be a chance of storms, and then dropped like 5% chance of rain up until about 5-6 a.m. So I was hoping maybe that I'd get some rare summer moody atmospheric conditions in Texas, but not in the cards today. But still, I think I got up here early enough.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm back here at Eagle Mountain Park, one of my favorite local go-to spots. I was out here last weekend and had great conditions, some mist and fog coming up off the water. Got a shot that I kind of envisioned while I was here earlier in the summer. And as I was reviewing those images, I noticed in the background another possible little scene with a tree off in the distance. But of course I decided that morning not to bring my long lens, so I only had my camera on 15-30, which wasn't going to cut it. And I hadn't seen that scene anyways when I was on site, so it wouldn't have mattered anyways. But I'm back out here this morning. Conditions aren't the same. It's almost twice as warm. It was in the 30s last week, and this morning it's about 60. But I've got my 70-200 with me, which turns out is still almost not quite long enough, but just barely. So trying to capture that scene that I saw in the images when I was reviewing them after last weekend's outing. And I like the scene. The problem I've got is there's some foreground branches kind of poking in from the side, and I'm trying to minimize those as much as possible, but then I'm losing the composition I want. So struggling with that a little bit, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it. So I don't have a great spot here for the tripod. If I move to the right more, I'm gonna, as you can see, as I'm losing my balance, if I move to the right, I'm gonna drop down another 2 to 3 feet, and then I'm gonna start getting some foreground stuff in my way with some of the shrubbery. So just making do with what I've got. That's all you can do when you're out here, but work the scene as best as you can and try to minimize the intrusions and distractions. But we'll see. Right now I'm just kind of waiting to see what changes as the sun continues to come up. I wanted to get here before total sunrise, and I did, and I think that's going to be the composition and the lighting that I want. But I got nothing really to do, so I'm just going to hang out and see how the scene might change a little bit as the sun changes. So a couple things to note here, since I am shooting with my long lens. If you struggle to get sharp shots with a longer lens, even if you're on a tripod, obviously the longer your focal length is, the more any vibration or anything like that is going to impact the sharpness of your shot, because any movement is going to be magnified. Think of holding a stick, and you have a short stick, it takes a little bit more movement to to make it wiggle, but if you get a longer stick, just a little movement and the end of it is moving up and down quite a bit. Same thing with a long lens. Two things you really want to watch out for is, first of all, if you've got image stabilization on your lens, turn it off, because it'll actually, with most lenses at least, it'll interfere with it being mounted on a tripod, and it starts trying to, for whatever reason, trying to stabilize even though the lens isn't moving, and you can get some weird squiggly just blurriness in your image. The first things first, make sure you switch off your image stabilization. The other thing is, you probably heard the timer going, especially when you're shooting with a long lens, and I typically do it with any focal length, but especially since I'm on the 70 to 200, if I was using my 100 to 400. Use your timer, or if you've got a remote, use a remote. That way, as you're hitting the shutter button, you're not introducing any shake. Especially on this, I'm shooting about 1 second exposure, so again, I want my camera to be rock solid before I capture the shot. Otherwise, again, if there's any leftover vibration from me hitting the shutter button or anything like that, it's going to probably show up my image. Now the sun's coming through the trees here. But anyways, just a couple little things. So turn off your image stabilization, use a timer countdown or a remote if you've got it, to avoid introducing any shake into the camera as well when you're using a longer focal length like this. And I'm at 200 millimeters right now, so again, any little movement is going to show up in the image just by the nature of how long that focal length is I'm shooting right now. And the light is changing here, so let's get another shot. Anyways, we'll see how these turn out. It's not quite what I was hoping for with some of those branches sticking in from the side, but maybe it's some stuff I can clean up in Lightroom or Photoshop and maintain the overall composition that I'm looking for. So we'll see. So here's a look at the actual composition I've been going for. So again, it's just a little scene I saw in the background of some of the shots I took last weekend. And what I liked about it is with the way the light was hitting these little trunks, well, they're not little, but hitting these trunks on these trees in the distance. Keep that from turning off. But anyways, I liked the way that was showing back there, kind of those trees hidden away a little bit back here in this little alcove. If I can come out here and refocus. What I was shooting last weekend was this dead tree out here, and I've shot it before in one of the videos, and I wanted to come back with good conditions. Like I said, last weekend I had that, but then I just caught this little scene back here, and so again, that's what I'm going for here, and I think it's working out fairly well. Let me get this focused again. But anyways, just like the way the light was falling back there as the sun continues to rise, we're really just getting to a point where I'm going to hit, the leaves are getting blown out, and that foreground is still in shadow, but like I said, we'll see what changes. I do like that branch structure going up into the leaves with the light, so maybe that'll work out okay. And actually, let me turn on autofocus here, so that focus peak and color, there's the actual colorization of it. But again, just a nice little scene. We'll see how it turns out. Now you can see we've got these little, gosh darn it, got these little branches poking in from the edges of some. That's really probably about half the distance between me and the scene I'm trying to shoot. So I've got some here, I've got some up here as well. So I know already that I'm going to do some cropping on this. Typically with my vertical shots, I'm going to crop it a 4x5 anyways, so that it might come to down there, which blocks out some of it maybe. But I think I'm going to have to try to clean some of that up. Probably in Photoshop. I don't think Lightroom's going to be up to that, but I'll play with some cropping in Lightroom and see if maybe I can work something out. But again, we'll see. I've had this shot in mind since a week ago, so hopefully it pans out. If not, at least the fall colors are starting to peak here in Texas. As much color as we actually get. It's a lot of browns, but we got some reds, so we'll take it. But I'm going to wrap up here and then do some exploring, see if I can find some other compositions to maybe come back tomorrow morning and continue capturing fall in Texas.